Well, we are here today. We're talking injury news, and we got an intro to play, so let's get after it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys, One Pod. I am Addi, the Nard Dog Narder, the Duck League champ, and I was actually questionable for this show. I took a couple hits from my cat and dog this morning, did some shoveling, back injury, but, game time call didn't matter. I am here, I'm on the field, and, it's fitting because we are with just about one of the best Substacks on the market, Ben McCown, the writer of the Weekly Injury Report. Check out all his stuff. Dynasty Big Mac FF. Ben, how we doing today? How are we doing today? I I guess we're doing Frozen today. Alrighty. Well, I will assume that Ben will be back on here in just a moment, but we are here to talk some injury news today, week 14. I am here with Ben's Frozen Face, and we are going to go through his Substack article of the injury news throughout this week. Let me see if I can get rid of this third Ben. Okay. Your audio is not coming in, buddy.
Not coming in.
Oh, now it is.
Okay, there we go.
Okay,
Can
let's
you hear me?
hide this Benny.
Oh, it's gonna.
Well, we got two Bens. One of them still frozen. This is Yeah, we're gonna remove one of them right here, and we will start up in just one moment. This is always fun. Well, we got Ben here. How are we doing today, bud?
It's been a day so far, Addy. I'm as you can see, just been so busy. I talked to you and Jev last week. I didn't get this to reach out to Xfinity just because life's been a little busy. But my internet, as you can tell, kind of spotty last week going into this week, and hopefully make it through just fine. I told Addy before the show. I got my 2-year-old. She's over here just now, but I'm ready to talk some Indians. So I'm on a snap with the kid. You were a game decision with the back end, but let's go with some important news to talk about. Are you
Awesome.
kidding me right
Well,
now?
no, you're still
Can you
coming in.
still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I'm not being recorded.
Oh,
So
well, interesting. I mean, let's see if we can fix that right fast here. I'm going to see if I can't get this up and running, but you know, we're gonna technical difficulties are a part of this show. We can make it happen. It's gonna be all right. It actually does seem like one of yours is recording. It is the one that is not here, so that's awesome.
you close that one out.
Yeah, I've clicked it about 12 times, so I am hoping that it does. Let me try refreshing my screen right quick.
Got it.
We got Benny here. We got myself, and it appears we are actually recording now.
You are. Oh, hang on, Eddie. One more time.
Are you still not? Okay. Oh my goodness. What a start to a show. Well, if anybody is on here catching up, be sure to check out Ben's work on Substack. Um, Wi-Fi be damned, it does not make a difference. Ben's articles are up there. You can have good Wi-Fi, bad Wi-Fi. It doesn't matter. It will still be working on your Substack, and it will load faster than this stream.
Well, we're going to see how this goes. It does end not being recorded again. But I guess, I mean, if there's one way to find out. I don't have my phone, Addi, if I'm still showing on the line YouTube too.
Let me see. Easy to check.
Yeah,
this is fun.
I'm here for the long haul at this point.
Yeah, we got Benny on here. You know, the YouTube says you're still there, and that's all that matters. So screw it. We're live. We're going.
That's all I care. Let's hang out.
Yeah, let's hang out. You know, well, we are here to talk injury news. For anyone who just hopped on, we've been dealing with some technical difficulties, but we aren't going to be dealing with any technical difficulties from here on out because we have Ben. He's back. He was a game time call, and you know what? Xfinity can try its hardest. We're still playing the game. Just like the Jacksonville Jaguars and Colts are still playing through this rain game, we are still going to make this pod work, even if we don't got any Wi-Fi help here.
I'll go acapella, bitch.
and we got Crispy in the chat asking about the ghost of Ben's Wi-Fi. You know, the ghost of Ben's Wi-Fi still shows up to more games than Marvin Harrison Jr., but let's start breaking it down. I got your Substack article pulled up here, Ben. We are talking Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons. Tell us what we need to know here.
Yes. So, Turner will be a full go for the game. Really, there's no significant injuries on the Seattle Seahawks side. So AJ Barner's good. Jackson Smith and Jigbo within veteran rest. He's expected to play today. The big injury for the week for the Seahawks game is Drayden with the PCL injury still. He has been ruled out. The good news was for most fantasy owners is he was ruled out earlier in the week. So people wasn't going to be a game time decision. People knew they would roll with him. I'm interested to see how Darnell Mooney kind of comes up as a wide receiver 2 or 2 wide receiver this week in fantasy.
Yeah, I am too. I don't really love what I've seen from Mooney this year. Like, I know he was dealing with an injury early this season. It seems like it's still showing. Mooney, I remember when he was on the Bears, he was constantly playing through injuries. He's a smaller player. His speed, his athleticism definitely matters a lot more to how much you get from him on a week-to-week basis. I would love to see him start showing out. We saw some of those great games with him with Penix and with Kirk Cousins last year. We haven't seen too many of them this year, but I'm still inclined to think he's the number one option over Kyle Pitts most weeks.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I mean, it doesn't mean much when you talk about tight ends, but I have Kyle Pitts as basically a top 6, 7 start this week at the tight end position.
Yeah. You know, Scott was telling me yesterday that he didn't have him in his top 10 this week. Not surprised by some people having a pessimistic outlook, but I have seen enough from Pitts to think that he can step up in a matchup like this. So we'll see. The Seahawks are a great defense against the tight end position. Let's move on to probably the most fun game of the week. Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills, and we have another premier wide receiver to talk about.
Yeah, so, and it's not the one you're probably thinking of for the Bengals, but no, it's T. Higgins. T. Higgins has been is expected to play off of the concussion. He's a full go, and this I actually have him as a top option. So get him in your lineups right now. T. Higgins is going to play against the Bills in an expected shootout. So honestly, I can see Joe Burrow and Josh Allen taking shot for shot this game. I don't know what the over-under is, but I would. It's pretty close to what the Lions Cowboys was this week.
It's exactly the same, actually, 53 as well for the Bills-Cincinnati game. And I would say that there's a good chance that hits the over, too. I love both those offenses. We were talking about our bet of the week being Chase Brown over 51 rushing yards. I still feel great about that one. I think he is probably one of the safer options that you can have in your lineup this week. And I would be playing all the receivers and every team aside from Keon Coleman, obviously.
Yeah.
But we move it on to the Bills side. We have Dalton Kincaid trending towards playing this week. Do we know if he got announced officially?
I here. That's my phone. I can tell you right now. So I told you, Addi. Actually, you know what? Oh, come here, kiddo. Oh, this is my little assistant here. He helps me out. Amy reports, huh? She's in here with me in the studio today, helping me out. But Dalton Kincaid is active for the Bills today. So for me, he is a top 10 tight end start this week. I think in the matchup, you got to take it against Bengals defense.
Yeah. Any interest in Josh Palmer this week, or are we still keeping him on our benches?
So he is expect play. Actually, no, he was trending towards missing Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
I do not know if I don't think he's active for this game.
I don't think he's active either.
It speaks.
So you should play him if he's not active.
Yeah, the curious one to me is Keon Cole, because the touchdown last week, he was benched. I think either the 2 weeks prior or played a game and then it was benched 2 weeks prior to that. But it was like soft benching work for Keon. Is he somebody to get involved in the off more? I don't. I've got a couple shares. We will see how this week goes.
Yeah. I'm interested in this Bills offense as a whole. We don't really know what it's going to look like. I know that the running game's going to dominate their playbook. Joe Brady, time and time again, has shown that he's willing to lean on James Cook. I think he's going to in this matchup. There's no reason for him not to. Let's move on to the Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns. Tony Pollard, Chigakonkwo, both in the game, but both of them are staying out of my fantasy lineup. What about you on this one?
Yeah, no, Gunna's the tight start in Tennessee, and I feel much better with the upside of Tajay Spears over Tony Pollard at this point, and really Tony Pollard is hard to be even flex worthy.
Yeah, I mean he's a guaranteed 5 points, but what is that really doing for your lineup at this point? Like you can get him in there, you might get your 5 or 6 if you really need that tight 5 during a matchup. I guess you can find some confidence there, but really I'd rather have Spears in at this point too. We haven't really seen much explosiveness, and that O-line is absolutely awful. I think Myles Garrett could be looking at the sack record today if everything goes right for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean that's the hard biz. I think the Browns are such a good starting defense. Could be a real ugly for the Titans.
Yeah, I don't love any matchup or any players in this one, but on the Brown side, we did see Deshaun Watson actually return to practice this week. I'm really intrigued by this one because I don't understand what the Brown strategy is going to be during this offseason. Like, do you stick with Deshaun? Have you seen enough from Shador? Dylan Gabriel played admirably well, honestly, in his few matchups. I was kind of surprised to even see him put up competent starter play with that offense. It's interesting. I'm wondering, do you think there's any chance we see Deshaun this year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, honestly. I think if he's going to have out at any with Brown, it's going to be in 2026. But it really does depend on what we see from Dylan Gabriel throughout the season, and whether they want to potentially keep Deshaun Watson as the starter next year. But I think Deshaun Watson is in his early 30s at this point. He's had the best of his when he was in Houston. When he was in with the Browns before he got injured, it was not good. I would much rather take Shador at this point, based off of the possible upside that he could bring. But I mean, Deshaun Watson at one point was the more talented quarterback of that quarterback room, right? It's going to be a real clown showing next year when they try to what their quarterback situation is.
Yeah, and I would love to see them draft somebody, but to be honest, that offense has a lot of holes on it. Like, I don't know that any quarterback's going to look especially good with their current setup, and I'd almost punt for a year and see what you can get in terms of like the 2027 class with Arch Manning. On other news for the Cleveland Browns, Dylan Sampson is officially active in this week. So I don't think I'm going to start him, though.
No, and it's tough because he was basically inactive, or he was not practicing most of the week. And so we're talking about the backup to Quinshon Judkins, who was practicing going into a game, even against the tough defense. I still am not going to be stowing Samson. Hopefully not even a flex option. Then the other one on the docket here, Addi, is David Njoku, who was ruled active for the game. He was basically limited all in practice, but was able to be ruled active against the Titans. Harold Fanninger is still my favorite tight end in the AFC, maybe in all of the NFL, because I was so high in that gentleman throughout the draft process. But yeah, Njoku is going to be an interesting one to watch as free agency comes along.
Yeah, one of my first shows with Uncovered NFL, actually, we were doing a live mock draft for the 2025 draft class, and I had the Chargers taking Fannin in the second round, and I essentially got laughed off the show on that one. They were like, that seems like just a homer pick, and I haven't heard anything from them on that since then, because Harold Fannin certainly looks like he's second-round talent worthy. I would love to see him with some competent quarterback play, because he is just the most versatile tight end that I see in the NFL right now. The guy looks like almost a Vernon Davis sort of clone, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually like that comp a lot.
Well, let's break it in. We have some big news coming up here, because we got the easy ones out of the way here early. We got Commanders versus Vikings, and we have two starting quarterbacks coming back into your lineup, Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy. I think that this game could be a sneaky shootout. Low over-under, but I think that Jaden Daniels tends to make even a Brian Flores defense look a bit undermatched, and J.J. McCarthy might actually have to play some passing football, and we'll see if that actually is possible.
Yeah, I mean, and for all the hate that J.J. was getting all season, and deservedly so, right? But he has put up games where it didn't make sense. It was all right. You just look against the fourth quarter against the Bears, who have actually been pretty good on defense as of late. And then against the Detroit Lions, also put up numbers. And so you're going against the Washington Commanders defense, which is one of the top two worst defenses in the NFL right now. Really, top three. With Cowboys step, so they're out of the conversation. But what happens in this game when it's like Jim Daniels comes back, has his weapon back in Terry Lauren, and then you have J. McCarthy against one of the most poor defenses this season. I think we're going to possibly a shootout. And, quote me on that, because if I stake any claim on J.J. McCarthy, it's going to I'm going to get ripped in the chat. But, yeah, I mean, there's the potential there that the game is a little bit more high scoring than what we might give it credit for.
Hey, we're both wearing Michigan jerseys today, so we're rooting for J.J. to put something together.
And I got the Michigan hat here to remind the Ohio State Buckeyes that one team in the Big Ten could do it undefeated and win the national championship. You guys won't do it yet, but hopefully Indiana wins this year and shares that title.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked by that outcome. Great game by Mendoza there. Let's break it into the Dolphins versus the Jets. Actually, one other injury news from that. Aaron Jones is active this week. And yes. We got a question from the FanCred app. Love Armin there. Have we not learned via Darnold, Mayfield, and Daniel Jones to not have JJ so much? It's his first year, basically. To not hate JJ McCarthy so much, he clarified. I agree with him on that, but I also think that it's worth evaluating what we've actually seen from the guy, because we have seen some bad football. Armin, I'm not sure if you know, but I have been getting ripped to shreds for my love of J.J. McCarthy for this entire season. I have constantly had to defend that take. I thought that it was going to look good. His legs have actually looked good, but his passing hasn't. I think this is kind of a Caleb Williams sort of situation where you can write off year one and see what year two looks like, because he is basically a rookie at this point, and I mean, that offense as a whole has looked a little bit tepid, if not bad.
I think there's a big difference between Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy, and that Caleb Williams has always had tools to be NFL competent, and it just essentially took a coaching change, right?
Sure.
Kevin O'Connell. I mean, and if you talk to Vikings fans, they will go and say Kevin O'Connell's not a great play caller. I've heard some people in the MLB League Discord, specifically on Scout 2020 24 who changed the name to Kevin O sucks. Because I think Vikings fans are a little bit fed with the way that the offense is going, and the way that the team is being run at this point. That like the play caller does need to be changed. Essentially, that maybe Kevin O'Connell is a great coach, but when it comes to designing plays and having J.J. McCarthy be successful in the NFL, maybe it's not the case. It may be Kevin O'Connell, but maybe it is J.J. McCarthy, and so a lot of signs point to that. I mean, I talked about J.J. in an article a couple weeks ago, where basically he was like the 400. It was like the second last in terms statistically of PA over per attempt, and the person behind him, DeMarcus Russell, who some of the players ahead of him, Zach Wilson. I mean, you could consider the person not on that, Nathan Peterman. Like, talking the bad of the bad, right? So when these guys in the NFL, they're expected to start immediately, and JJ McCarthy, even though he hasn't got reps, he's getting a short leash, right? I mean, that's why a lot of players are staying in college longer, because the leash is short in the NFL nowadays, and so need to be able to get these guys ready to come into a dog. And so I don't know if J.J. McCarthy is going to get it. We'll see. Give him another season, but yeah, right off this year.
Yeah, I would agree there. The next one we have here, Dolphins versus Jets. This one's a quick one. Darren Waller's playing this week. Let's move it straight into Saints versus Buccaneers, because that's a little bit more interesting, this one. Chris Olave is officially in the game. Alvin Kamara is out. How are we feeling about the Saints offense under Devin Neal and Tyler Shuck?
Well, so Devin Neal, I think one of his great calling cards is that he is great in the game. And you saw his first week, I think he was 3 of 3 and had gotten most of his 60 points from the air. Chris Olave is sneakily one of the best sneaky wide receiver one in the league. That he's putting up wide receiver one numbers, and you just don't know about it because of the fact that it's on a bad offense, and Olave is just doing what he does and getting receptions and having a large target share. So I'm curious about this game because the Saints play actually very, very well defensively as of late, and the Bucs have been one of the worst defenses in the last few weeks. I do think if Shuck can get the ball out and really make things, this could be a pretty fun ending game this week.
Yeah, I think this game will have a lot of scoring. I don't think it'll be very fun for Saints fans. I think the Buccaneers with Bucky Irving back in the lineup are just a little bit too formidable on offense. We saw the Bears a couple weeks back absolutely take it to the Saints on the ground game. I think that the Buccaneers have the exact same ability to do so. But from the Buccaneers side, we actually have some news as well. Mike Evans is not coming back this week, so the ticker is up to 166 yards per game for him to actually make that 1,000 yards if he comes back next week. Chris Godwin, still in the lineup. Are we going to keep seeing Godwin start returning to form as we do year over year?
I do think that with more time away from the injury, Godwin is going to continue to really step up in fantasy and be startable fantasy option week over week. The question is Baker Mayfield solidly put up almost 20 points last week and still played shoulder injury really well. I wasn't concerned that's going to be an issue for me. But is Saints defense going to give this Buckers offense enough trouble? Again, the Saints defense has sneakily been one that has kind of given some top offensive trouble.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I want to see it come together a little bit. For Saints fans alone, I know we all clown Rocco, but I would love to see some of the weapons on that team actually put together decent ball games in a row. But let's move on to the rain game for this week, Colts versus Jaguars, and we have 2 wide receiver threes as the main injury news points of Josh Downs, who is playing, and Parker Washington, who is not.
Yeah. So not much to talk about here, right? I mean, basically,
yeah,
we've got a tough matchup with the Colts and the Jaguars, but this is everything on the line, right? For basically, the Colts were leading in the division quite significantly weeks ago, and then the Jaguars closed the gap and ultimately took the division lead. So this is going to be kind of for all the marble in the AFC South of who's going to take this division, and is Daniel Jones an interesting option that he's going to be able to carry the Colts into the playoffs, or is this going to be one of the disastrous losses in all of NFL?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's really going to come down to the run game, so I'm putting my money on Jonathan Taylor. Let's move it on to the battle for the AFC North. We got Steelers versus Ravens. Aaron Rodgers is playing this week. Lamar is playing this week, and we are going to see which of these ball clubs is willing to try to win a division. I'm not really sure if either of them want to at this point.
And somewhere, in the realm of possibility, it's a long shot, but Bengals sitting at third, hoping that the Steelers beat the Ravens, since the have the head, which Crispy is sitting in the chat, buddy. Joe Burrow might make it happen. There'll be some magic if they the table.
Yeah. We're wearing orange today for a couple different reasons. I believe in them too here. Let's move on to a slightly less fun game. Broncos versus Raiders. Broncos don't have too many injuries. Geno Smith is in for the Raiders. Deontay Thornton's out, and they say Jack Besh is going to get a lot more targets than usual, so he'll get at least one this week.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just this Raiders offense against this Broncos defense. There's not much to talk about here. I mean, Pat Surtain's going to be all over that offense, and just talk about Nick Manito go after Geno Smith. It'd be a tough week for the Raiders. I'm curious to see how this game goes.
Yeah. We got Crispy talking about the Bungles here. He's got history on his side, but I'm with you. Joe Burrow's in the game, and anything's possible. Let's move it on to the most important game of the week, the battle for the North. I know the lines are normally in this combo, but we're talking Bears-Packers here. The Bears have the most prominent injury news in this one. The Packers receivers seem like they are pretty healthy for the game for once. The Bears are missing Rome Odunze. How does that stack up for you? Who's the biggest beneficiary there?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably either the significant or second significant injury receiver-wise across the NFL, with Drake London also missing. It's tough because you see Luther Burden get more opportunity. Is he going to realize versus is DJ Moore going to be the one who takes over in the game? I think Caleb Williams has done a great job this season of spreading the ball. And let's not forget the man in your jersey, Cole Loveland. He possibly going to be the number one target today against the Packers defense. I don't have the stats in front of me right now on how the Packers handled tight ends, but they're going to be hard against the running game. And so, even with Kyle Monunga was ruled out this game, to have him in both DeAndre, I see it probably opening up in the pass game if they could be able to get the ball to Coastal, Luther Bird, and DJ Moore.
Yeah, I would certainly agree there. I do think that this will be a good LB3 game. I'm a fan of his talent, and I think they're going to find a way to get him the ball more. But DJ Moore is the safest option here. Loveland would be the guy I'd feel most confident about. Otherwise, let's move it into the Rams here because we're a little behind schedule. Rams versus Cardinals. The Rams have all their guys. Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, they're both playing. They're going to probably keep giving Corum the ball a bit here. And Marvin Harrison was ruled out with, it says heel, but I thought it was hate for your fantasy lineup that he had. I thought he had a case of not liking being drafted so early.
So it wasn't appendicitis. He said it was wisdom, you know.
Of course it is. But more relevantly, because Marvin Harrison weighs in, he's going to be in your lineup, and you're going to try and sweat it out there. Trey Benson is the interesting piece of news here, because Trey Benson might not play this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it all comes down to, I believe, next week, because his practice windows opened a few weeks ago, and so at this, the Cardinals have to have him active for next week's game, or he misses the rest of the year.
Yeah, and
to be honest, this is go time for him.
It's rough. I traded for Trey Benson right before he got put on IR in a lot of leagues, and it has been a rough story. I want to see the guy play. I think he's a talented player, but it's looking more and more like a Rashad Penny sort of career arc, and that is a tough one to buy into. Let's get on to the last game on our slate here. We have Eagles at Chargers, and the Eagles are without Jalen Carter. I think that's the most prominent news on this one. And I think the most prominent news on the Chargers end is Marion Hampton is likely back from IR this week.
Yeah, and I was kind of talking about it. Fellow friend of the show is, if you guys have watched, of course, the Two Guys One Pod religiously the last couple of weeks. The fantasy show they were talking about Marion Hampton. I did share that he would a snap share this week, essentially, with Kamani Vidal. So without Jalen Carter, that spells great news for those two players, and it'll be an interesting watch because Jim Harbaugh, as a fan of what he did at Michigan, knowing what him and Greg Roman wanted, you know, they focused more on the passing games than what we expected, and I think they start to into the run as they start to try to make their playoff run and putting the ball into Marion Hampton and Kamani Vidal's hands. I don't think Kamani Vidal is done for Marion Hampton as bad as back. I think he probably takes over the 100% next season, but I think Kamani Vidal has shown enough that he can be able to split the backfield at least maybe on a timeshare of 55-45, 60-40. I think that's what he's today is going to be that likely it's going to be a 50-45 snap share.
Yeah, I would totally agree there. And on the bright side, we have the formula cracked already. Every other week, you start Kamani Vidal. So next week, consider Kamani Vidal, but this one, you might want to sit him out. You know, that is our last one for here. We're going to let Ben get back to his kiddos, but I got to say, they did a fantastic job on this show, so I do have to give a shout-out. The McCown family is talented as a whole. Xfinity's got nothing on them.
Hey, you know what? This kid, she loves football. And so she is getting my future little scout here, right? Every year before Dynasty rookie drafts, she's going to be looking at the tape.
I love to hear that. Well, we have been Two Guys One Pod here. Thank you guys for tuning in and wishing you the best of luck in your fantasy lineups. Go ahead and get on the League Champ app if you can. We are not done with this weekly contest yet. We will be going all the way through the playoffs, so be sure to get on there. Maybe you could win yourself a Colston Loveland jersey like I did. I ordered myself one a little bit late for week 1 and 2 victories, but it has been great being here. Be sure to check out all of Ben McCown's work. His Substack is fantastic, and you can find all the rest of his work at... Hit it.
Yes. So I am on X at Dynasty Big Mac FF. Of course, my Substack is Noseball, as you get my name there. But we're on the Dynasty Gambit with my co-host and friend Austin Jacobson. So you can find us there. We're actually recording this week for draft for the rest of season for champion rosters, right? So we go over mostly Dynasty information, but we definitely do keep the redraft information when we.
Awesome. Well, we did get from Armin that we were going to want to hear more from the kiddo next time. Going to need to hear her takes. But we will catch you guys next week. And as Chev always says, Jack Bash forever, Deontay Thornton never.